Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror Trans. My name is Stephanie Bree. I am a transgender woman and I talk about all things horror. And today I'm sidestepping into another horror comedy, horror adjacent, but iconic film, Beetlejuice. Talking about it because the sequel, 30 odd years later, is coming out later this year, I believe. Now, I've already talked about Tim Burton elsewhere in other videos, I believe on the podcast. His movies aren't necessarily horror. He's got a couple that I would say are, but his movies are definitely horror adjacent or very thematically horror. So, Beetlejuice falls under this camp. Imagery is very iconic Tim Burton. It is very otherworldly. There's ghosts and creatures and monsters. It's not like scary, but horror doesn't have to be scary to be horror. Um, and like some of the scariest movies I've ever seen weren't even horror movies. They were just scary because they had something in them that was scary. Um, so Beetlejuice, and I'm not going to say the name again because I don't want to get visited in my dreams or nightmares, is about a ghost by the name of the movie who is considers himself a bioexorcist. What that means is he exorcises the living. So whenever a person dies and they get assigned to a house, a haunted house, um, he shows up to help them vacate the living occupants of the house who are invading on their space. Now, the movie actually focuses on a couple, a married couple, the Maitlands, as they're known as, who die, and spoilers, and are tasked with haunting the house. But in real life, they're harmless people. They're not scary. They're not ghosts. They're friendly, regular, just private people, but very friendly. And so they want to make peace with the people in their house, but the people in their house, see, they're small town people, but the people who bought their house are big city people coming to the country to get some fresh air and peace and quiet, etc. And they just clash. Their artistic styles, their decorations, their furniture, everything just doesn't fit what the Maitlands are used to. So they contact the ghost that is Ghost with the Most, as he's referred to, played by Michael Keaton, to scare away the humans. And one of the human characters is a child, a teenager, by the name of Lydia Dietz. And she's a goth chick. And actually makes friends with the ghosts and tries to make peace with the ghost with the most, Beetlejuice. I'll just go ahead and say his name because I'm not superstitious. Well, I kind of am, but anyways. She tries to make peace with Beetlejuice, and he tries to force her to marry him so that he can stay on the outside permanently, because he doesn't want to go back to being trapped in the wherever he's trapped. It's a funny movie. It's got a lot of horror imagery, a lot of scary stuff. At least ghosts, and there is an exorcism in the movie. There are some skeletons and dead creatures. There's a woman who's cut in half. There's a guy with a shark on his leg. Things like that. So there's a lot of horror imagery in this movie, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. When I was a kid, I was in love with horror, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. Give me more movies like this. So I promise I won't be doing too many non-horror horror comedies in the near future. I just wanted to get a few of them out of the way because I know some people have been curious about them. And let's be real, Beetlejuice is a buy. Absolutely. Buy it on Blu-ray, buy it on VHS, buy it on Laserdisc, DVD, Betamax, all of the above. And I mean literally all of the above. Buy it on every format you can get it on because this is one of the greatest movies ever made. In my opinion, this is Michael Keaton's best movie. Yes, I've seen some of his newer stuff, and Val Kilmer's my Batman. I'll just say that. So I know that's not for this channel, but for non-horror fans, Batman Forever is my favorite Batman. So I'm not saying it's the best Batman, but anyways, Beetlejuice is a great fucking movie. If you like horror movies and you want to introduce your kids to horror, but you don't want to jump them into the R-rated scary stuff like, I don't know, Hereditary, unless you really want to like traumatize them and you have the money to pay their therapy bills, I guess. Beetlejuice is a good entry point. To that end, I do have to put a content warning. It is PG-13. There's one F-bomb, and there's some sexual innuendo. But there's a couple of sexual innuendos that aren't just like innuendos for adults. Kids may have questions because he's pretty obnoxious, Beetlejuice is. And there's one scene in particular where he grabs his balls and says, "Nice fucking model." That's the line. And he honks himself. So when I was a kid, I laughed, but I didn't know what the fuck it meant. But I don't know, probably too young to see this movie, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's a fair movie for kids. My parents never explained the joke to me, so I didn't know about it until I got older. So it could be one of those your kids just like find the rest of the movie funny and that joke goes over their head. You never know. But if you are a fan of horror and you like anything else Tim Burton has done, this is probably one of the best things he's done. And it's not like it's not a scary movie, but there's a couple of pseudo scary moments, I would say. You know, it's akin on the scary scale to like Ghostbusters, or Hocus Pocus. Where it's like, a 6-year-old might find it scary, a 10-year-old not so much. Or someone who does not like horror at all, which if you're not into horror at all, why are you watching this channel? I mean, thank you if you do watch this channel. Maybe I'll sell you on the genre, or at least recommend you something to try, but Beetlejuice is fucking awesome. I highly recommend it. I am like 85% sure you already own it in some form or fashion and have probably already seen it a dozen times. But you know what? Beetlejuice, fuck it. Awesome, awesome movie. Stay cool.